Now, I know it's often said that change is inevitable, and the older I get, the more I realize how true that is. Yet, I never realized how much marriage would truly change you. But before I get into all that, let me welcome you back to my channel. My name is Ayanna, and this is Beyond Committed, where we talk about everything from life, faith, family, marriage, motherhood, and everything between, and we take them beyond. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I'm so glad you stopped by. And to make sure you're not a stranger, make sure you press that subscribe button below and turn on the notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now let's dive right in. I met my husband when I was 19, and we've been together ever since. So to say we kind of grew up together is an understatement. I mean, we've grown and changed in so many ways. I mean, I've grown into being a woman. I started a career. We got married. We had kids. I mean, and there were so many things about life that, kind of changed around me. And I realized that over the time, I had to be intentional about, okay, with things were changing, what was I going to do? How was I going to show up to meet those challenges that change sometimes bring? A lot of times I fought it, yes, because I mean, who wants things to change all the time? I mean, sometimes we get cozy and comfortable in where we are, but no matter whether we are comfortable or cozy in the familiar, I mean, life happens. Things change and we have to adapt and, show up better in order to meet those challenges and overcome them when necessary. And although I have faced so many challenges, I realize that for most of us, marriage changes us the most. I mean, it changes our perspective, it changes our outlook, it changes how we show up, it changes the things we think about. I mean, the list can go on and on. And there's three main ways that marriage changes you that I was often surprised at, but grateful that they did. One of the biggest ways that marriage changes you and actually changes you for the better is you realize it's no longer all about you. Because up until that point, it has been, and that's okay. I mean, as you're growing, as you're doing the things you should be doing, as you're checking the things off on your list and achieving those goals, and growing into the woman God created you to be, you're focusing on making sure that you're doing what you need to do for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then even when you start dating, you're intentional about, caring for this other person's feelings, spending time and all that. But for the most part, it's still, you're still doing you. And then you get engaged and you're planning the wedding. For the most part, the wedding is about the bride. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most grooms are totally okay with that. They just want you to tell them when to show up, what to wear, and make sure there's good food and music. And everything else, they'll go with the flow. Which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's your special day together, yes. But for the most part, a lot of times, the wedding is about the bride. And that's okay. But once you get married, we have to realize, and that you do realize whether you want to or not, is that it's just not all about you, what you want and what your needs. It's about you coming together, that two becoming one, and making sure your both needs are being met. Both of you are being heard, realizing that you both have to come from a place of I to come to we. Is that easy? No. Will you be challenged? Absolutely. Will there be times when you kind of revert back to I when you were doing we for a while? Yes. We all do, but it's so important that this change that happens within us, this change that happens because of being married, is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because it causes us to be less selfish and more selfless. And another way that marriage changes you is it causes you to reprioritize your other relationships. And this is a lot easier said than done. Because you may have had all these relationships that you've been building. It could be for a lifetime, whether it's with your parents, your siblings, cousins, your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, your best friends, your coworkers. The list can go on and on. There's so many people in your life that you have relationships with, that you share things with, that you do life with. And now you have this husband that you're not supposed to do life with. And he's supposed to be the primary person you do life with. And it's going to be a hard transition a lot of times. And this is a change that sometimes you're aware of and sometimes you're not. And there's going to be some changes in your dynamics in different relationships that you're going to be prepared for, and some ways that you're not. So it's so important that you are really mindful of those changes and intentional about, okay, yes, these other people are no longer my primary go-to, but that doesn't mean they're not my people. They're not in my village, because it takes a village to raise a child and to have a healthy marriage. So you want to make sure you're still maintaining those healthy relationships, those friendships, those connections with your family. Although they're not primary anymore, they're not your go-to for everything. Your husband, yes, should be one of your best friends, but he should not be your only friend. So it's so important that as the things change, as your relationship dynamics change with those in your life now that you're married. Be mindful of them, be intentional about them, and realizing that, you know, in order for you to love your husband well, you need to make sure you're maintaining healthy friendships around you as well. And another way that marriage changes you, and it is for the better, is marriage changes your prayer life. Now, I know for me, I have never prayed like I prayed as a wife. I have had some times where, okay, the only thing I can do is seek God on this, because this right here is a mess. This right here is not working. Or this right here, I'm at my limit. I've given all I can. I've done all I can. I've said all I can. Now, Lord, I'm just going to have to leave it in your hands. And in those moments, and when he shows up, it's showing me that, okay, I don't need to just come to God when I've done all I could do. I need to come to God regularly. I need to come to God daily, submitting all the things to him for my husband, for myself, for our marriage, for our kids. I mean, and the list can go on and on. And through marriage, through the ups and downs that marriage takes you, through the struggles, through trying to, you know, work on this to becoming one thing, it is in those moments, it is in those times where I have depended on God the most and seen him grow me the most, and realized that over time, my prayers have changed. There have been seasons where I pray for my husband more than I pray for myself because of whatever he's going through, whatever we're experiencing as a couple. And while, you know, there's going to be some seasons where your prayer life is going to be stronger than others, because we all have that, it's so important that we're still intentional about having that time with God, because our marriages change us, and our marriages should change us for the better. And one of the ways it does is in our prayer life. All right, that's it for today. And I want to know, what's another way you think marriage changes you? Let me know in the comment box below. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and then make sure you press that subscribe button and turn your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now, until I see you again, bye.